Okay, so there's our video. Yeah, we're okay. We're live.
Oh.
We'll do it later.
We'll fix it in post.
So, video people, we were noticing that camera's not centered. We're going to fix that later. We swear.
You got to add some lens flares.
I could come up with some lens flares to add in. There's the second camera.
Yeah,
Camera 1, camera 2. All right, so we are going to start our discussion about the next episode of Star Wars Rebels. But first, of course, we have to have our introduction and all that. All right, ready? What was Palpatine's name again? Sheev, that's right. Okay, here we go. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the GalaxyCast. I am Sheev the Bob Chrisman. I have with me the artist, Eric the Sheev Maruschek.
Sorry, forgive me, I just awoke.
We'll get to that in a minute. And I have with me Gary the Stud, better known as Gary the Sheev Belton.
That'd be me.
Yeah, you know, that was one thing I was thinking after the last podcast. I mean, seriously, what other names could we should all, like, brainstorm names for Palpatine that should have been used. Like, I would have loved George Palpatine over Sheev Palpatine.
Well, I always thought his name was Frank.
Frank Palpatine, yeah, you know.
Because he kept saying, let me be Frank.
Oh.
Wow, yeah. All right, so as crazy and wild as this episode already is, we thought we'd take a minute, and of course, our focus has been Star Wars Rebels, so why not talk about the clip that's been added to the very first Star Wars Rebel episode titled Spark of Rebellion.
When it was broadcast on...
It was officially broadcast on ABC. That's
yeah.
how I ended up getting to the clip. I actually DVR'd it so you could all watch it. And we decided to watch it tonight. It's maybe a 10-second clip. It wasn't huge, but... you know, Eric, you kind of said it's the clip with Darth Vader, and you said you thought it was kind of a fairly big deal.
If the episode had started with that when I first saw it,
yeah,
I probably would have been like, oh man, this is going to be awesome, because it's James Earl Jones doing the voice. There's a sense of menace there. They talk about, killing everybody. It makes the Empire feel more dangerous. And something I noticed is that the first shot in the episode without that is on the planet with Ezra in his tower.
Right.
And the Star Destroyer flies over.
Going overhead.
And I never felt like that was... I felt he was looking like, oh, it's a Star Destroyer. I realized watching it this time with that clip first, that felt menacing flying overhead. Because it came on the heels of this shot of this scene with Vader talking about, the Emperor wants you to wipe them out, and blah, blah, and the, with the gravitas that James Earl Jones brings to that. And so that next scene had menace. And I remember one of the things I said about watching the whole first episode is that felt like there was a lack of threat.
Yeah.
And I feel like that 15-second, 10-second scene gave me at least quite a bit more of that sense of threat, even though that character didn't really carry over in the episode. You didn't really see him after that. It was all about other things.
Yeah.
At least I felt like, oh, there's danger there. So I liked it. I liked the clip anyway.
I liked it because I questioned why the Inquisitor even existed. What was the point behind the Inquisitor? But now they finally answered that. He's been brought about not to deal with the Jedi. This isn't the Jedi we're hunting down. It's children that are Force users that are afraid are going to become Jedi.
He actually used that term, didn't he? The children of the Jedi.
Children of the Force.
Children of the Force he used, yes.
Children of the Force, which I think is even more ominous, because to me now the Empire is actually targeting children.
Yeah, they don't have to be Jedis. It's if they got Force powers.
Right, we're going to wipe, or actually he said get them to join us or wipe them out, which, and I thought that's interesting, because now it's almost goes against the rule of two now. Are we going to start training Sith people more than just one or two at a time to maybe take over where the Jedi Temple left off, I don't know. What did you think of the scene, Gary? Did you think it was a cool scene, or just kind of a bore snore for you?
I liked it. Like Eric said, it did add the menacing to it, but it really didn't do nothing for me, really.
Okay. Didn't sway you any other way.
It was incredibly short. If it had been like 30 seconds, 40 seconds of exposition, something plot-oriented and everything, maybe. But
but he kind of leaves everything open, because we know Anakin never had any father.
Correct.
All right, and he wants them to kill all the children of the Force, so let's see a big battle between the two of them.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Because he's doing what the Master tells him to do, and that's to wipe out the children of the Force.
Right.
Which Anakin is.
Yeah. Well, I could see some angst later on, maybe between the Inquisitor and Vader. Maybe they get to somebody that Vader wants to save, and the Inquisitor doesn't want to save him. So what if the Inquisitor kills him and takes Vader? You know what I mean? There could be some angst there later on. You know, it's kind of interesting. He said that he would like to turn them or kill them, and I thought that was kind of interesting. You know, the fact that we could do one or the other with them. You know, so they're definitely it sets things up for some interesting things to come.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a big letdown anyway.
Okay, the big news for the week, which we just can't ignore. It's
You can.
Well, you could try, but it was pretty much
So moving
impossible.
on to the next story then.
It's pretty much impossible. And it's funny because the day out, I was kind of like, I didn't go on Facebook that day. I accidentally... I just didn't have time to go on Facebook that day. And somebody says to me, well, what do you think of the name of the new movie? And I was like, what new movie? What name? You know, I didn't realize they were talking about the Star Wars movie. The title of Star Wars Episode 7 is The Force Awakens. And, well, you know, what do you guys think of that title? I mean, it's interesting. I think it's a little telling, a little bit. You know, what do you guys think that foreshadows?
Why was it asleep?
Well, a lot of people are reading into that use of that word. It's not the Force rises. It's not the Force returns. It awakens, meaning after Return of the Jedi, and we got this 30-year gap, something's happened where maybe there's just not been much in the way of any...
Yeah.
I mean, I always wondered, well, how's it going to start? Is Mark Hamill going to be training people, or is Mark Hamill going to be... And now I kind of lean, maybe he's going to be a hermit, hidden away. And, you know, the Jedi fell out of... He never really brought them back. Even though he was the return of the Jedi,
yeah,
it was the return of the One. And after that, nothing happened. And
well, that...
I can see the beginning of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Okay.
This thing floating through space and lands in the...
And the Force comes out of it.
A Tusken grabs it or something and pokes his eye out with the lightsaber.
Well, a lot of people are reading into that word awakens. They're like, is it about kids? Is it about the Force awakening in the young? Is it about, you know, and I think that's going to be the case because they're obviously going to a new generation with stuff. And I think it's, when you hear it, me and my friend were talking about this. We're like, you hear the word and you hear the term awakens. Well, one of the problems with the use of that word is it's not common vernacular. People don't go, oh, well, he awoken. You know, they don't say that.
Yeah.
So when you hear it in the name of a title, it feels kind of heavy-handed and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then we said, you know, and that's the reason some people were like, Attack of the Clones, you know, The Phantom Menace. They were upset with all those. And then we said, well, think about it. Best Star Wars movie in the entire run, according to most people. The Empire strikes back. How many times do you say they struck back? In you know, the title itself.
The vernacular is not common.
It's not. It's just as much as the other titles, but because that movie was liked, people are like, oh, The Empire Strikes Back, and they picture that slanted title from the old poster and it's instant recall.
Right.
So people seem to think that's a better title than The Force Awakens when they're just as good. It's just the movie that's tied to it is so loved that they forget that same title doesn't it's a clunky title. It doesn't read smoothly. So when people complain about The Force Awakens as a title, I go, it's the movie that's going to make people love or hate that title. So don't tear it apart yet. Give it time.
See, I wasn't tearing it apart. Actually, I thought it was very telling what that title is saying. That title, to me, here's what I pictured in my head the minute I heard the title. Mark Hamill, you know, they win their day in Return of the Jedi. I don't think he started right away. I think he went off, and like a good Jedi would do, I think he decided to kind of back away from everything else. Like, go away from all the technology, go away from the rest of the world, maybe even do some more training, zen himself, however you want to call it, kind of center himself. And I think the Force is going to awaken. In other words, it's going to encourage him to say, all right, you're now at a point... Let's rebuild the Jedi Temple. Let's bring the Jedi back into the fold. And I think that's going to be the awakening, is maybe Mark Hamill putting together the Jedi Temple again and trying to bring the Jedi Order back into the... That's the awakening I see.
I didn't really think about this, but I keep thinking, you know, Abrams is going to focus on the original trilogy as his source material. And he's probably going to not pay much attention to the prequel trilogy. But now I'm wondering... What does that set up for a chance for him to return to Coruscant and show the Jedi Temple as kind of an empty monument, as a place that hasn't been used
in eons?
Since you know, they were destroyed by
Attack of the Clones,
or Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith.
You know, and it's like he can revisit some of that prequel and give it more weight.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I'm now more interested in seeing. I never really thought about it. I always thought, he's going to use the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi as his source material, and he won't probably pay much attention to the prequels. Even with this title, he's bringing it back to being like, there was the original, the prequel trilogy, which was about Jedi in their prime. There was the original trilogy, which was about the Empire and the Rebels.
Right.
And now, even though I'm sure he's telling a new story, I wonder if he'll pull some of those elements from both more than I thought he would.
That's kind of the way I've always been thinking of it. Is with Abrams, I'm thinking it might be a nice meld of the two. You know what I mean? Showing all the rundown stuff from the Clone Wars series, but also showing the rundown stuff from the original trilogy series, and about how everything from the Jedi Temple to even the Senate building might be have become run down because they've been so busy fighting that these buildings would fall apart.
What I would like to see is if he does go back to the Jedi Temple, is see the way it was. It was left the way it is for bodies laying all over the place still.
Yeah.
What if Coruscant isn't even the head of the It's not.
Yeah.
Anymore, so it's not
middle of the universe.
It's not. What if the whole planet's kind of run down and they've left it? People have.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They go, like in abandoned buildings that we have around.
Yeah, with like vines growing around the outside and moss.
That's what I'm picturing. Yeah. So I wonder.
Almost looks like the Masasi Temple from Episode 4.
Yeah.
When you look at that.
Yeah, you go in there and you see clone armor laying where they died from the Jedi.
That could be very, very cool.
It would be awesome to be that way.
Yeah, could you imagine the visual of like mummified bodies on the floor?
What if that's the way the thing starts? Is the planet is just
awesome.
Is quiet and desolate? There's things flying through the buildings.
We should be writing movies, people.
And then you see close up along the floor, armor move along, footprints, steps, and who's walking through? But it's Mark Hamill returning to the temple for the first time in
Luke Skywalker.
It would also be kind of cool to see everything ransacked, maybe to an extent. You know what I mean? Like computers ripped out, walls torn down.
He goes to the library, and the library is
just
gutted.
Sacked. You know what I mean?
Just the opposite, though. I'd like to see everything left alone.
Like preserved.
Like the pyramids before they even broke into them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it's more of a tomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where Palpatine had put soldiers around it. To keep from
keep people from getting into it.
Looters and all that. That'd be awesome.
There's so much potential with this. I'm very curious to see where he goes, and I'm doing my best not to see spoilers from this point forward. I have
tried so hard. I really have, and every time I turn around, somebody like puts something up. Matter of fact, the 501st kind of got their hand slapped a little bit because they posted one of the spoilers. I don't remember what the spoiler was.
I never saw it. So.
But they put it on their Facebook page, and a whole bunch of people are like, they're mad because they put the spoiler up. And I'm like, come on, guys, you're the 501st. I expect them to post any stories on Star Wars. So it's like, I've got them like friended, but like right now, I think I have them not part of my timeline stream. I think because you can check that off on Facebook. Yeah. Like, folks, by the way, if you can do that in Facebook, do it. To anybody who's like, doesn't want to see spoilers, like we don't. If you see people posting spoilers, like go find them, and you can just uncheck. I think it's like include that friend in my time stream or my timeline. You can uncheck.
I think you could do it. I could do it right from a right click on their names or something.
Maybe you can too.
You used to be able to, but Facebook changes.
It changes all the time. It's nice to be able to do that because it's not that I want to be friends with those people. It's just right now I don't want to see what you're putting. Right. I don't want to ruin it for myself. Right.
I'll tell you the worst words anyone can say in the world is, "No, this isn't going to ruin anything." But it's like, no, stop.
Right there, you just said that it's going to ruin something.
Oh, I want to hit.
Absolutely, I agree. So that brings about our next story. Anthony Daniels recently posted about Star Wars itself. And
Anthony Daniels was outspoken?
Well, yeah. Yes, we have a love for Anthony Daniels around here, if y'all didn't know that. He decided to go out and discuss Star Wars himself. I thought it was kind of interesting because it's a tweet. There's not much to it, but a lot of people put a lot of weight on it. And the tweet actually says, "No movie sequel is better than The Empire Strikes Back."
That's in quotes.
That's in quotes. "You might eat those words for Christmas dinner in 2015. Joy and indigestion to the world."
I look at that as maybe Anthony Daniels has a big role in this thing.
Well,
so it's going to be awesome for him.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what I'm reading into it.
I'm trying to read the joy and indigestion into the world. You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? Joy and indigestion.
Okay, well, you're going to have to eat the words.
Eat your words.
That's what creates
yeah.
indigestion.
Make it a joke. Play on words.
Okay.
See, I wonder if he knows that that's when Peter Jackson is releasing the Silmarillion, and he's like, it's going to be this great movie. And sorry.
No, I'm thinking that he's the dude that he is. That he's got a big role in it. So it's.
Well, it's kind of bold for me, in my eyes, to make that statement.
He says might.
Right. He does. You might eat those words. It's still a pretty bold statement to make this early on because they just finished principal photography.
Yeah.
And I mean, just finished like a week ago.
So much happens in editing.
And I was going to say, we don't know what's going to end up on the edit floor. You know what I mean? So you could have made some amazing scenes. And we've seen it with Star Wars, where there's some incredible scenes, especially for Revenge of the Sith. There were so many scenes that ended up on the editing floor. I'm like, really? Because if you'd have put that in, I'd have been totally into that movie. And I'm hoping, that we see all the good stuff, but you never know. It'd be very interesting to see how that plays out. But I think,
Well, we said this earlier. I was talking to you.
Yeah.
The hype machine from Disney/Lucasfilm has been very smart in playing it way down because they're like, when Phantom Menace came out, it was so hyped. It's, my God, it's a return to your childhood. It's all coming back. And, of course, everyone knows the story. It was a huge success and everyone loved it. No, it was people were very let down by Phantom Menace. So they've been very. I mean, look at the way they released the title. It was like it wasn't a big announcement. It was just like they threw it and like, oh, principal photography is wrapped on episode 7, The Force Awakens. It's like they named it in another statement almost. It's like they really didn't make a chance. They didn't make a point of pushing it. And I think they've been very smart to do that. They know that even if they make a minor statement, it's going to explode and go everywhere, so they don't need to overhype it. They don't need to push that wave. It's like, we're a year out. Let's not overplay our hand. We're going to get there. We got all next year. They got San Diego Comic-Con next year, which I'm sure there's going to be a big push there.
Oh,
that's going to be like 5 months out from it. So it's
Celebration 7, too.
Celebration 7 coming
will be the huge
thing where I'll probably be doing a chalk art that's a big Episode 7 reveal.
Right.
We hope. If you're listening, I really hope. But anyway, they've been very smart to just play it down. And then Anthony Daniels comes out and goes, Empire Strikes Back's the greatest sequel ever. I know a lot of people who would say Godfather 2 and argue that question. And B, you might eat those words. This is going to be even better. It's like, this is not in line with the way the hype machine's been handled.
Where the rest of us
This is just one person just wanting to, being excited, and I think, and throwing out, his excitement. So
because you got a steady paycheck.
Which he really hasn't done much other than Clone Wars and Star Wars, right? I mean, has he ever done anything else acting?
I know there's been some.
Like, I know he's done like a lot of stage work, like theater work and stuff like that.
Wasn't he was in some episodes of that series. It was the Storyteller. Jensen's the Storyteller. I think he was voicing that for a while. Yeah. So I think he's done some. He's done other stuff. It's just I don't think he's had any big
nothing huge.
Tasteful Star Wars concert thing there too.
Yeah, he was in Star Wars in concert, which that was cool. I mean, his role in that was actually kind of cool, but I mean, it's because it's his voice. You know what I mean? He can kind of get away with it being the C-3PO voice. Yeah. So, although there's an interesting thing here, we were on comicbook.com reading through that tweet, and something they brought up, which I had not thought about, and Eric was commenting about it too, is there's a lot of speculation that the teaser trailer will be coming out before the end of 2014, and it would make total sense. I mean, we're coming into 2015. We're almost a year. Well, we're a little more than a year out at this point.
And I said
teaser trailers. It's that time.
I remember being in the theater for something around this time last year. I can't remember what it was, and maybe it was a month from now. It was seeing The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, or something. So within this time period, within a month or so from now, and I remember a trailer coming up for Interstellar. Well, as we record this now, Interstellar's in theaters. And I remember at the time, I'm like, wow, that's almost a year away, and they're teasing it? So apparently, yes, big movies, you will tease about a year out. I remember it wasn't much, other than like some very quick sequence and title. Right. And that may be all we get. But I think it'll be something before the end of the year.
Now, what big Disney movies coming out do you think they'll do that with?
The only big one I know that's coming out right now.
Yeah.
Came out this weekend.
Right, that was Big Hero.
Big Six,
yeah.
There's nothing. Wait, there's something at Christmas. Is Into the Woods?
I don't know.
It may be.
I don't know if that's Disney producing.
I'm not sure if they're fully Disney produced. The only one I could think of that would be like a geek tie-in, potential geek tie-in, would be, I think it is Ant-Man's the next Marvel movie.
That's not till next
right?
summer.
Or is that next summer?
Avengers 2 comes out before Ant-Man does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Avengers 2.
By then, I would think we'd
I would think
definitely
we
have
get a
something.
full-on trailer by
What
that
else
point.
is big at Christmas?
Yeah.
Do a quick search.
What day I know it's coming out?
I don't know Christmas releases for 2015.
Yeah, we could figure that
Well,
out.
the Hobbit 3.
And I thought, I'm like, that would they would snap it to.
Disney, though.
They may agree, though. They may just do it because they know
New Line Cinemas, and they're
like,
going to share the
it's like, come on, you guys
population.
we know this is going to be a huge release. Everyone will see our trailer. It'll be extra excitement. It'll get more people in the seats. Or will they tie it to a movie? Like, I've seen this done. See the trailer, and they tie it to a movie that they think not many people are going to go see. Just draw tons of ticket sales to it. So it's.
I was going to say, any Pixar movies coming out?
Yeah, to get that too. I know Mockingjay is coming. That potential
James Mockingjay is there, but I don't know if that's them.
It just might not be enough for me.
Penguins of Madagascar, maybe?
Yeah, that's a Penguins of Madagascar movie, but
That's not a way. That's not
the same. Five.
Into the Woods is a big release.
Yeah, my wife and I were just commenting about it. It doesn't seem to be a lot. I mean, like,
No.
when you look at this past year, Guardians of the Galaxy, there's nothing really out
I think
here.
Hobbit's gonna own the holiday season.
Oh, yeah. Battle by That's why nobody.
I know. It
All right.
tie into-
There it is. It's in the GalaxyCast. Teaser
It's a-
trailer.
Because I know Into the Woods with Johnny Depp's a big push for them. It's their release.
Yeah.
But maybe like that if they announce,
Geeks going.
Because the
Yes.
preview
Revenge of the Sith, I believe. No.
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a one bucket, if I remember. In Resident what would be
nice to see.
Luke's theme, and then a lightsaber ignite.
Yeah, it probably something simple like that. Or just a lightsaber on a table being picked up and a pan up to the cloaked head, and you can tell with the beard and see just a little of his eye.
Or maybe like we were talking about before we started. You hear Luke's music playing. Luke's at a table eating C-3POs.
The Force Awakens.
Yeah, okay. Let's do that joke for a minute because we got to get.
And we
that
didn't
one
make
out
it
of our
first.
system.
I know Twitter. It's all over Twitter. People did. The Force has breakfast. The Force takes a shower. Force is late for work.
I mean, it is kind of a fun. I mean, you could make fun of this one too.
yeah.
I mean, like this one's dying to be made.
Hilarious if Mark Hamill does a quick video where it just says The Force Awakens and it just cuts to a shot of him. He's at a table and he's in a robe, but the rest of the house looks normal, and he's just eating a box of 3PO. He's like looking at the backs while he's crunching down, milk stuck in his beard, you know. And then he gets
Jar
up,
Jar behind him going, "Misa sparkling glow."
cuts to a shot of just a shower going with steam and everything, and he's in there just like singing, you know, dun 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 as he's showering and stuff, and then
Jar Jar in the shower.
Gary, I think I figured out my next good cosplay that everybody would totally get.
What's that?
What if I just wore a T-shirt that says "The Force" and put on a robe and walk around?
There you go. I doubt it.
someone's gonna do that with slippers.
With slippers, you know, like Yoda slippers on, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe holding a pillow that says "The Force," you know.
Toy lightsaber dangling off your head.
Right. Come on, it's dying to be.
Someone's gonna do it with a robe and
I'll
everything.
do it in my
yeah.
Boba Fett robe. It'll be great.
That'd be a good one for Celebration 7.
Yes, there we go.
You get a Jedi and a Sith, you know, walk around in their bathrobe.
Yeah, the Force is awoken between the two of them.
Yeah.
Sith has got to be like in boxers.
And Darth Maul boxers.
So, you know, there's a lot to discuss there, and like I said, the movie title was the big thing for the week, and Anthony Daniels definitely took it to a new level, so there's lots of Star Wars talk about. I mean, we're amping up to Episode 7. It's fun stuff.
Yeah, 2015's the whole year is going to be
Huge.
Gonna be
I mean, between Star Wars Rebels, between the movie, I'm
Yeah.
I'm pumped. I can't. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about Star Wars Rebels. Hang on, I gotta find that.
Hold.
Stay on target.
Stay on target. There we go. All right, folks, video folks. Do we need?
No,
are we good?
I'm good. I'm just checking my mail quick.
Okay.
Nothing.
Did we catch for this one? I know it was on the sheet. I just
Fighter or something.
You're right. It's fight or flight. Like good old Wikipedia. That's totally useless when it comes to stuff like this. Why we use Wikipedia, I really don't know.
I don't either.
Shouldn't, but I do it because it's easy.
Depending on it's true.
Why don't you go to the Wikipedia?
I've tried Wikipedia, and they put less on, and like they actually take a lot of it out until it's confirmed. That's like, really?
Because Wikipedia is not canon.
Nothing's canon anymore.
Exactly.
I'm not canon.
Except
You realize that's just on camera, right?
Actually, that should be another thing, too, where someone should do a quick video of something from one of the books, and someone's firing a laser cannon, and someone comes up and goes, "Do you realize these cannons are not canon anymore?"
that'd be awesome.
That would be funny. The cannons have become less canon. Would you make them more canon, please? Okay.
But these are cannons. They are not canon.
You spent too much time at Gettysburg on cannons.
Yeah, I did. I was just, for those watching the video, I was in Gettysburg this past Halloween weekend. It was very fun.
Okay.
A lot of cannons out in the battlefield.
Yeah. All right, here we go. All right, so let's talk about this episode of Star Wars Rebels titled Fight or Flight. It was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of an interesting episode. It was directed by Stephen G. Lee and written by Kevin Huss. And by the way, it is in production code, so Droids in Distress did happen before. And so far, everything seems to be actually in production
Which
code
it had
order.
to, because there's a big tie-in in this episode. So they keep talking about an event from this episode. So
Right,
it
and
is working
kind of
story-wise.
huge. Yeah, I'm just glad right now, at least staying in
Yes.
order. Let's keep doing that, people. I'm good with that. Dave Filoni, I hope you don't screw it up now, or we'll have more what the funny moments. Okay,
Right.
so
I haven't had to give me yet.
we haven't. Not yet. So we basically start off the episode with kind of shenanigans going on the Ghost. Now, Gary, you pointed out something before we start that I had never put together after
Yeah.
the last episode.
Because you're not very bright.
Thank you. I feel really good about it right now. They keep referring to themselves as Spectres. Spectre 1, Spectre 2, if you guys didn't catch on to that from the last show. And Gary pointed out, which didn't dumb me. Gary, go ahead. Why don't you say it?
The ship is named the Ghost, so everybody on board is a Spectre.
Which makes sense to me. I was like, oh,
Yep.
duh. I didn't even think about that, though.
Nice little touch.
Yeah, it is, it's those little things. And then Eric noticed in the last episode, before we move on to this one.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't caught up. I wasn't on the last podcast, so I missed the previous episode, The Droids in Distress. And we watched that one, and there's a scene early on where 3PO and R2-D2 are ushered to the back of the... Get to the back of the bus, because you're droids.
Right.
And they're in a back room, and there's another droid standing near them, another 3PO...
Protocol
droid.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
at least I think it is. It
Oh,
looks
it
very
looks-
close. It's the
Ralph McQuarrie version.
Yeah, it's the original version from the Ralph McQuarrie drawing that was based heavily on the robot character from Metropolis.
Right.
So it looks almost exactly like it.
Oh, from waist up, it just
Yeah.
pretty much is like the exact same thing. But I mean, they did say very early on that they were going to take McQuarrie drawings and use them as
Which,
heavy influence.
if you guys aren't familiar with McQuarrie, he did the artwork for Metropolis.
Oh, I didn't know that he did that
Yes.
too. Okay, so that
He
would
did?
explain the cross.
I didn't
There's a
know
lot
that.
of cross look.
Or he has done a lot of artwork for the Metropolis, whether it's before or after it was made. But one
Yeah.
of them.
Wow. So just something that was kind of a cool catch that you
Oh,
caught.
yeah,
That
that
I was
was
like,
neat.
oh, that's pretty cool.
I like looking for stuff like that.
So this episode, we basically kind of goofing off at the beginning, and it's kind of interesting because Chopper is
Prankster.
kind of pranking on Ezra's the boy, right? And
Yeah.
Zeb. And Zeb and Ezra are going at it too. Basically, they don't get along, we find
No.
out.
The setup is they're not liking each other.
No. And they're bunkmates. which makes the situation even worse. I mean, one of the funnier scenes of the episode was when the bunk fell apart.
That did catch me. That was kind of good.
And Chopper comes out, and he's got like, he's holding the screws and holding the bed together. I thought that was actually a pretty good prank, and I thought that was pretty funny. You know, it's kind of weird that a robot's that pranksterish. You know, it was kind of weird, but I kind of got used to it after a while, and just kind of.
Well, he's got our two elements of the whole.
Yeah.
You know, get in trouble type thing.
Yeah, he's a little more, I guess, forward with his joking around, as opposed to two is kind of a little behind the scenes joke around. So, you know, we also start to see Sabine's, what would you call it? Her want to paint things.
Her graffiti.
Her graffiti art, yeah,
she
and like
gets
why
inspired.
she gets into that. Yeah, she gets inspired by things, which is interesting. You know, when you look at street artists, you know, a lot of times that's what they do. They kind of whatever inspires them at the moment. That's where they go, and that's where they run.
I can
with
see that being a very, you know, a key element to her.
Like her
character and her persona is not just someone who's out to fight or out to fight for the little guy or to fight against the Empire or whatever. She's got a artistic soul to her, is what they're going for, and that this bent of creativity is gonna be, I think, a running thing with her.
Right. So, you know, it was kind of interesting that you know, we get to see that side of her, and that ends up showing up at the end. They land in Lothal, right? As the planet they end up landing on, I believe.
Yes. I don't know.
And Hera basically tells them that Zeb and Ezra, they need to go into town and need to get a whole bunch of supplies.
They're tearing the ship apart, and she's like,
she's had enough. Yeah.
Get out.
I think it's kind of funny because you kind of start to see her and Kanan as like the father and mother figure of the ship.
And those two are like
the other two are like the brothers that don't get along. Like me and my brother. We're together.
And that was a big thing I think this episode was all about.
Setting up some characters.
Yeah, we're only 2 episodes in. We need to set up relationships and character traits and personality more. And I think that was definitely what they were.
That's definitely how I interpreted this whole episode. Yeah. You know, it wasn't meant to be a big like push forward in storyline. It was more of character setup and why these characters don't get along and why some of them do get along. And it's kind of the role they're all interacting with each other, you know. For some people, they find that boring. You know what I mean? To me, I like character development stories. It just gets me into, okay, what's going to happen later.
I mean, that was actually the first half of the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it bugged a lot of people because people are like, where's the heroes? Where's the Marvel storylines? It's like, no, they're building characters, so you're going to care about them first. Then we'll go from there.
Right. Let's build a moment where you're going to enjoy what's going on before we start tearing it apart.
It's got to pay off later. Yeah. If there's no build to the payoff, then the payoff doesn't matter.
And look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They're 10 times better now than they were when they started.
I still haven't seen any of it.
I gave you the DVDs. Come on, Gary. Okay, so
I just ain't got time.
You know, I understand that.
That's not out on DVD yet.
What DVDs? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, is it out?
Yes.
Yeah, he got you the store-bought DVDs because they're totally store-bought.
Yeah.
Because you can still rent them in video stores.
Oh, boy. Okay.
You have editing control.
Yeah. Well, not in the videos.
Why not?
It's okay.
It's not going out live.
It's okay. Anyway. All right, so...
But I still haven't seen them, though, so I'm okay.
That's okay. I still love you anyway, Gary. So we go on with the story, and they're sent into town, and they're asked to find all these things, and then they're asked to find... What was the name of the fruit?
It's Mongolian, something with an M.
Yeah, it was some weird M name.
They had to go find Mulan.
Mulan? No.
Yes. No. She's like, I really like that movie.
Yes. You have to go find it on Blu-ray, not DVD. Because
this planet's backwater. They don't got Blu-ray.
Maluran. Yes.
Miluran.
Miluran. There we go. Milurans. Okay. So
whatever.
But I want to go into Tassie State and watch Atlantis.
Too bad. You watch Mulan.
So they're asked to get Mailurons. So they go into town. He meets a guy he's familiar with. So he's from Lothal.
They're back on his home planet? They keep coming back to that planet. I think. Didn't they say as they pulled up the plane, he's like home sweet home?
Yeah, something like that.
I think
I'm thinking the pirates they deal with are from Lothal, so that's why they keep coming back to that planet.
Chewie.
So that's my dog Chewie. We decide to. They decide to try to find some of this Miluran or Muluran, whatever they are, Mulans. So they find some, and they find out that the Empire...
Yeah, it doesn't grow naturally on the planet, so it only can be imported.
So the Empires have absconded the only Malurans that exist.
They ordered them.
Months ago, from Amazon.
Yeah.
And now they're waiting on them.
This sounds totally like a MacGuffin Lucas. It's like, we need a MacGuffin. Okay, it's a fruit called Maleron.
Yeah.
George, that doesn't work. That's what they're going for, Maleron. Okay, fine.
Okay,
we'll build an episode around it.
So anyway, in their process of trying to get this, they find that the Empire, and Ezra and Zeb decide to steal them from the Empire.
Well, Ezra decides. Zeb wants to go back.
Yeah, Zeb just wants to get the materials and go back, and Ezra decides, well, let's go steal them. So they decide to start stealing. I thought it was interesting that Ezra tries to use the Force to lift the container, and man, does that not work? I mean, within 3 seconds, the stormtrooper done.
Pushes the top down.
Pushes the top down. And Zeb found that funny.
The problem I have with that whole scene right there is, wouldn't the stormtrooper look to see why the top was shaking?
Well, it would have been loose, and if the craft vibrates at all, it's just rattling, and he snapped it down. I mean,
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like I buy that one.
So anyway, they go and they steal the Maleron or whatever you want to call it. And,
Ezra does, and gets caught.
Ezra does and gets caught. So
he doesn't really get caught because stormtroopers can't catch a fly with.
And he put it back.
He did. You're right. He did put it back, which is interesting because they really don't care about that at the point.
Exactly.
They start chasing after them anyway.
Yes.
And they end up chasing both of them together.
First Zeb throws all his supplies at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the boxes that were in front of him. Why didn't he just throw the boxes in front of him and make them
keep the supplies as they need them? Yeah. So anyway, they run down this kind of, I don't know if it's called an alleyway or something like that, and Zeb ends up grabbing Ezra and jumping up on the wall, which I thought was kind of an interesting new technique we hadn't seen him use, because he grabbed the wall with his claws and kind of started climbing.
Yeah. And his claw feet, which are like hands.
And if he didn't throw the kid up above, I don't think the stormtroopers would ever even
know. That was they totally heard the noise.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But
it's okay because they can't hit the broadside of a barn anyway.
But the other thing too is, even before they get away from that, Ezra throws a rock and the stormtrooper hears it.
Yeah.
All right.
We better
wear buckets. It's not going to hear a little pebble go tip, 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 tip.
No, you'd have to have a pretty significant. Even with my ears outside of my helmet, I can't hear.
Even if they threw a lead ball the size of a softball, we still wouldn't hear it.
This is true. So he throws up Ezra, and he tells him to just run, follow me. And he runs down the alleyway, and Ezra's following him basically from above, and they're trying to run around stormtroopers. And of course, they kind of get separated.
Zeb gets caught.
Zeb gets caught. He gets caught between a TIE fighter and 2 stormtroopers. Now, how you just don't end up being paced by that point, I don't know.
Because they're stormtroopers.
Well, also because, what good would the story be if John died in the second episode in?
It's been awesome.
What Gary always wants. So the TIE fighter tries to attack, and Zeb makes this amazing jump.
He once again, from 2 feet away, stormtroopers are shooting like literally like to the side, like the guns flailing everywhere, shooting nowhere near him, and he jumps up onto the TIE fighter and jumps
the pilot out.
Yeah,
jumps in, starts having blasting things.
I've never flown one of these before.
That was a pretty good Zeb. We're gonna have you do some voiceover work. So he's taken off with the TIE fighter. I thought it was funny too that he's kind of like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, he did have a good moment. He was just like,
he's like blowing everything
crazy.
So he ends up trying to pilot the TIE fighter, and he's just plain awful at it. Which brings up Gary's point. Which Gary had said while we were watching it, I thought the clips we watched weren't supposed to be, and we were told they were not supposed to be part of the actual episodes.
Yep.
Yet we watched this clip, and it's the scene, verbatim from what we watched in the clip.
And we'll see the other clips too.
Now, it was a clip from San Diego Comic-Con. That wasn't one of the ones that was released online, so maybe that's the difference, potentially, that the ones released online were like little mini episodes.
That could be
just be an actual clip from an episode, so that's a possibility. Just to give people a taste of something at San Diego Comic-Con, they shut them up for a while. Possibly. That's my only explanation I can come up with. So we get that clip where basically jumps in with the Zeb, and they take. So that ends up being the big deal there. And at this point, they end up getting something on the windshield. Was it fruit or something?
Yeah. Well, the whole point, there was that whole play up of all episode long, Ezra has been using the fact that he saved Zeb in the previous episode by using the Force, and kept saying, "You owe me, you owe me, you owe me," and he wouldn't. Zeb wouldn't let him jump into the TIE fighter until he agreed. I no longer, we're even.
Right, we're even now. Yeah.
And so then they jump in. They go flying, and they crash through the alleyway, and they shoot a fruit stand, and the fruit splatters on their windshield, and they're flying off out of the city blind because there's fruit on their windshield.
Yeah.
Because TIE fighters have absolutely no way to clean anything off their windshield.
And then
Heaven forbid they have bugs.
and then Ezra tells him you got to turn, and Zeb's not listening to him.
Yes, because they're going to go towards a cone or whatever it is, so things are coming out.
And that's a moment where the Force comes
yet
in
again
and
plays its role.
He's like, oh, he could tell.
The Force awoken.
The Force did. It awoken in him.
Oh, no, man. That's going to be our new tagline, is it? Every time he uses the Force, the Force awoken him. So, anyway, we go on with the episode, and I thought this next scene was kind of funny, too, because they end up calling up Kanan and being like, hey, what's up, buddy? We got all this, got the fruit, and got this, got that, and Kanan's like, so what am I hearing in the background?
Oh, we happened to steal a TIE fighter.
Yeah, when you hear this TIE fighter scream.
I thought even funnier was he's like, did you at least disable the tracking?
Yeah.
And Dave's like, of course we did. Get it, it's in the floor.
The red one. No, the blue one.
And Kanan's like, it's both.
Of course, we got both earlier before we ever talked to you.
Yes, yeah.
It was okay. It was actually, that was some humor that really worked.
Yeah, it was good humor, funny banter back and forth between the two. So they take off with the TIE fighter.
They're supposed to rendezvous at a new point now.
Right, which neither one of them know where the rendezvous is, which I thought was funny too. And then in the distance, they see smoke. Meanwhile, we have panned in and we've watched the friend that we met earlier from Ezra.
Yeah, the name was right here on the, if you move that window.
Oh, sorry.
Where is he?
Morad Sumar.
Yeah, there we go. Morad Sumar.
Morad Sumar.
Which, did they even say his name during the episode?
Yeah, he's like...
Okay.
I think he said Sumar when he saw the guy waving to him or something. But
so they go to the farm where Sumar basically has been captured. And I thought it was interesting because in this scene, for the first time ever in Star Wars history, we officially see the troop transport on screen.
Right.
Those who don't know what the troop transport is, that's the mythical toy that Star Wars created way back in 1979 or 1980, somewhere around in there, that was supposed to transport the stormtroopers everywhere. The dewbacks weren't supposed to actually be in Star Wars Episode 4. The troop transports were supposed to be in the background. They could never get it to work. They could never get a troop transport that Lucas liked.
Yeah, I think
they replaced it with the dewbacks.
I think the one scene where you do see them is when they're looking for the droids.
You see just the back panel.
Yeah, in Mos Eisley there.
In Mos Eisley.
In the original or in the special edition?
In the original.
In the very original, when they go to walk into the bar.
Into the
cantina, right?
Nope. It's when they have Luke and Ben stopped in the speeder. You see
that's right. Yeah, this isn't the droid you're looking for. Right. In the background. That's right. Now I remember. In the background, you see just the back panel and the little top part of it, but it's facing the other way, so you don't actually see the side profile of it. I thought it was kind of cool to see it. I've owned the toy. I've had the toy since I can remember. To see the toy in action was kind of cool for me. I mean, that was kind of like a kid moment come true. You know what I mean? Like, finally, the troop transport on screen. Yay. So anyway, they throw the prisoners into the troop transports, and they start to take off. In the meantime, the TIE fighter, I keep wanting to say TIE pilot, the TIE fighter comes in, and they see the farm burning. They had crushed the farm.
Yeah, because the guy went and sell his farm.
Yes, he wouldn't sell his farm to the Empire.
So the Imperial dignitaries did the eminent domain and took it.
Right, they just took it. Which, yes, it was kind of eminent domain, wasn't it?
Yep.
I thought it was interesting, too. They kind of played an homage, to I think, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, totally. Absolutely, by blowing up the little white dome and having the burn on, burning and smoking.
But they didn't have the burnt skeletons.
No, this is true. But they were the prisoners, that's why. So they're going away with the prisoners now. So now Ezra tells Zeb, "I want to let's free him. Let's free the prisoners. He's a friend of my family. I want to help him out." So they play some games. They tell the transport to slow down, and basically Ezra jumps on top. And
it's Commander Mulan Fruit.
Yes, it's Commander Mulan Fruit. And, they had the little interaction there. And that whole scene, yet again, okay, stormtroopers on top of a troop transport shooting at Ezra and cannot hit him for the save their soul.
No. But they can hit the Mulan Fruit.
Yeah.
No, or even worse,
The
Mulan
the
fruit.
Mulan fruit can stop a laser blast because he's holding it against his chest when it gets hit, and it just splatters and the laser blast stops. But even worse is if a stormtrooper drops his gun and isn't holding it and it hits the ground, that will shoot another stormtrooper and hit him perfectly.
Yes.
So the guns fire better without being held by a stormtrooper.
So it's not the guns. It's the inferior humans that are inside.
As soon as the gun was dropped, the gun's like, I'm going to show you how good I am. Look, boom, I just shot him. It's these guys.
Yep.
They're
You know
the
what? If there
problem.
was ever an argument for against gun control, maybe stormtroopers are it
Well, right
because
there,
they can't hit anything.
but that is perfect for the anti-gun people. Though.
Yeah.
'Cause that one shows that guns do kill.
Yes,
This is true.
guns kill people, not stormtroopers.
This is true. So wow.
Actually, that should be the new thing. It should be, stormtroopers don't kill people. They don't hit anything.
Their blasters by themselves kill other stormtroopers. So anyway,
Or if you're a rebel blockade guy.
yeah, there you go. That
that
all
it?
just seemed very, very unbelievable, quite honestly. And then Ezra manages to hide behind
A turret that's like
turret
half
cannon.
a foot tall with
Yeah.
a curved where the guy's standing like a foot away, like looking over, going, "I see you. You're
Well,
right
notice,
there."
notice the stormtrooper didn't even move up closer.
No,
Let's
Doesn't
just
step up.
keep shooting from where we're at. He jams the turret with a tool and
wrench
it
that's-
explodes
yeah.
and sends the stormtrooper flying.
We did miss a point where he finally uses the Force successfully to manipulate a
undo
small
the-
item. He undoes the latch that opens
Yep.
the troop transport side
So they can
panel,
get away.
so the people, the farmers, can jump out.
Yeah.
So he does a heroic thing and gets to use the Force for the first time accurately.
Correct.
And the stormtroopers didn't have the powers of that one movie with McAvoy and Angelina Jolie there, or the bend the.
Oh, bending the bullets. Yes.
Oh,
That goes to show you that they don't have that problem.
No.
that power either.
No, that's not even possible for them. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, they end up escaping all that. They go
Yeah.
back to the transport. They get on the Ghost and they hand Hera her
Mulan
fruit.
That's all they returned with because they
And
lost
that's
all the other supplies.
They lost all the supplies, which I would have thought.
which is perfect. Okay.
Yeah, which I would have thought Kanan would have been torqued about the fact that they didn't even come back with the supplies.
And did they really disable or crash that?
See,
TIE
I'm
fighter?
wondering because they kept giving a look, and I was waiting to see the TIE fighter like somewhere.
I was actually
and they
waiting for that
didn't-
at the end. Like if they're taking off from the planet, the TIE fighter's off in the corner somewhere with like some like camo netting on it or something.
Or
You know what I
graffiti,
mean?
like the Empire
Yeah,
Six
right,
heads.
yeah.
I don't know. Just
Because like my theory says, all right, you don't see a body, they're not dead.
Right. So you don't see
You
the
don't
TIE
see, you don't
fighter.
see a crash TIE fighter.
Maybe it's not
crashed.
crashed.
and those two kept giving each other a look like, yeah, that's what we did. Yeah.
It would actually be funny if later on they end up coming up with the thing. You know
And
what I
I'm
mean?
wondering. I actually think they will. I think that was a little moment that they'll tie back into.
Yeah. And then the cool thing about it too is Ezra walked away with a TIE fighter helmet, which I
Yes.
thought was kind of funny.
And
too.
of course, as the two of them get back to the Ghost,
Sabine.
there's that. But before that, they're palling around. They
now all of a sudden they're
they
friends.
left really hitting each other and punching at each other and being mad, and they
Right.
come back fake fighting and laughing, and so they've become friends.
Yeah, it's almost a little too fakey friendly.
A
you know
little
what I
too
mean?
fakey, yes.
There need to be a little more angst between the two of them. But I thought the paint job by the
Apparently, Sabine's a cartoonist.
Sabine, yeah, she did a very funny thing with Ezra on top of Zeb
Yeah.
and of course I
Their
thought it
inspiration.
was even just as funny that Chopper thought that was hysterical too.
Yes. And then they went after Chopper because they blamed him, and that's how the whole they're like, it's his fault, and they're pointing at Chopper. Mwah, mwah.
So, thoughts on this episode? You guys want me to go first? I'll go first.
Don't matter.
Go
Okay.
right ahead.
I actually, as a character building story, it was actually kind of a fun episode. I thought there was some good humor in it, actually. If you're willing to let go a little bit and just let some Star Wars humor happen, it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel out of context. It didn't feel bad. The only real honest critique I have is just the stormtroopers. I don't know. Like, I get they're supposed to be like clones or whatever, or not. Well, they're worse than clones. But I mean, the fighting, it just doesn't seem realistic at this point. It's very unrealistic.
They're the ones that were trained by the Mandalorians.
That's what you think is gonna say. They're gonna say later. Yeah. No.
no. Just think it over, right? The Mandos are going to train them how to not shoot people because when the Mandalorians raise against them,
There you go. They won't be able to fight
Right,
back.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's
well,
planning ahead.
yeah. But they are awful. They're just plain awful. But I liked a lot of the episode. I liked the character development. I liked how Zeb and Ezra kind of played off of each other. I liked the humor in the episode. I liked the fact that they're looking for a stupid piece of fruit that Hera knew all along didn't exist, but just threw it out there just to see if they were gonna, I don't know,
work
go
together.
After.
Basically, it was her attempt to make them work together.
Right. It was her way of trying to mother the two of them together. I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. For a character development story, it was good.
Yes.
For that reason, I give it a 6. You know what I mean? Because it was a good character development story. It's not a must-see, but it's not a bad episode. And honestly, I think later it's going to become important for other reasons, like the development between everybody and how they all work together as a team. I think that's going to come into play. Was it a major episode? No, because there were no major plot lines in this. There was nothing that really pushed it forward, at least not in a huge way. So, Gary, what do you think of this episode?
2.
2. Okay. How come?
To me, it was all forced. It was too forced for me.
Okay.
Because the two of them, the first episode, Zeb left them behind and didn't like him and all that. And then the next episode, they're getting along pretty good, and now they're back at each other's throats again.
Okay. So just too much back and forth into them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And plus, the stormtroopers can't hit nothing again.
All right.
So
those are your 2 major points.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's no further the mythology for Star Wars either. So
okay. Eric, what did you think of the episode?
Well, I have to basically fall right between the two of you. I'm going to say a 4.
Okay.
I have to agree with all your points. It's not an episode that ties into any major storyline.
Right.
It doesn't advance the mythos in any way. It was meant to be let's put these fish out of water, 2 characters who don't get along, odd couple, and do some humor. So I understood what they were going for.
Right.
And some of the humor was entertaining. However, and this is a big however for me, I cannot get past, I guess for lack of a better term, I have to call it the choreography of each episode so far.
Okay.
The blocking, the way they're setting up the scenes. It is so badly staged.
Yes.
The way everyone fights or moves, not all the fights. Like the previous episode with the droids, the laser, the stick fight between Zeb and the Imperial had its moment. It looked like it could have gone somewhere.
Yeah.
At least that was okay-ish. But for the most part, it's like the stormtroopers are standing like 4 feet away from people, and they're not hitting anything. And then we'll cut to a scene where Ezra's like, oh well, he's hiding behind the turret, which hides nothing. It's literally a foot-tall turret. He's behind it. And if the guy's standing, his eye line would be right down on Ezra. I mean, this is just logic. I'm not trying to be a nitpicker. I'm like, this is logic. The guy can see him right there. He's 4 feet away. Cut to a shot of Ezra going, what's in my bag? There's got to be something here that helps. And it's like taking him time to find an item. A wrench? Oh, a wrench. I might be... All that time, you're telling me the guy standing there is doing nothing, is not pulling a trigger, is not moving closer, is not... I know it's a kid's show, but even kids these days have got to be looking at that going, what is going... Why are they not attacking?
Yeah.
What is going on? They're walking 2 feet behind him, firing away. They can't hit him. Oh, they're right there. They can't... It's like... It is so poorly choreographed in terms of the... Not in terms of like a fight choreography, but just in terms of the action choreography, that the humor they're trying to set up and the character establishments they're trying to do, I'm pulled out of it because I'm so distracted by how badly that is blocked, and it just bugs me.
Don't you think it's even a little insulting to kids?
Yes, I do.
I'm actually looking
kids
at
are
it going,
smarter than that.
Like even if I were a child today, I would find it a little insulting that Disney actually doesn't think you're that smart to figure that out on your own.
Kids are smarter.
They're a lot
this.
smarter than that, and it's almost like they forgot that they're, even for kids, that they're writing
and maybe they're
below
afraid.
their level.
Maybe they're afraid. Maybe they're like, well, it's Disney XD, and it is officially a kid show right now. We can't make it seem too violent. We can't make it seem too threat. Got to add some sort of threat. We know there's adults watching it. Yeah, I know they're probably in a really rock and a hard place right now. Where they're I'm sure their hands are probably kind of tied with what they can do and how it can be done. But you can choreograph that better and still not show any real like bloody threat, but make it work better. That's disappointing me right now more than anything about this show. In the 3 episodes I've seen, every one of them has had that problem where it just is like, it's a big open area, there's nothing blocking them, the people are running right behind them, and shots are literally like 10 feet to their left, 12 feet to their right, a shot up in the air.
Right.
Whatever they duck behind or jump behind is like they don't jump behind it right away, or they take a few seconds, then they hide. All that is just sitting with me so badly. That is my big complaint about the show. Every episode to this point, is that they are just, whoever's in charge of the movement and the planning out of the positioning and the staging of the scenes is dropping the ball, and that's my big complaint.
What about, like, this is something that kind of dawned on me the last couple of times. I've watched a lot of these several times. What about the artwork? Don't you think the artwork's a little boxy still at this point?
It's very.
Seems very boxy and almost
I noticed
geometric in a way.
Yeah,
you know?
and I know that's their style they're going for with the solid hair and the solid shapes.
It's a little too geometric.
When you saw Zeb when he was being woken up and he's lying in the bunk. I was looking at that going, that's a really good looking scene. There was texture on the walls. Right. There was in the darkness the way he was lying there. It looked better quality. For some reason that just jumped out at me. I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. And then there's other scenes where it's like, here's a city street. It's these smooth walls with no detail.
That's why I was asking
ground, and it just feels empty.
Like the ground doesn't even look like terrain. It just looks like it's ground. You know what I mean? Like somebody had put a map down or something. And
it's very
you know. It doesn't
feel
realistic. Yeah, and when you compare that with the Clone Wars, where they left off there, you would have thought, because I mean it's Disney, they bought the Clone Wars, they bought all this stuff, so you would have thought they would have taken the materials from that and learned from it. And I kind of feel like we started over.
Yeah,
well, like we're almost in season 1 of the Clone Wars again.
Well,
I mean, what
I think happened is when Disney took over.
Yeah.
They fired everybody from Clone Wars.
This is true. Most of the art team from the original Clone Wars team got fired. They're not. But you would think Disney would learn from the mist. You know what I mean? Like
they're starting over. They're trying to plant their own flag and make it their own. And
they
have a look.
And they're using the Disney animators that they have.
Right, that they have on house instead of going out and getting new guys. This is true. So it struck me, and I'm hoping they improve that at some point, because right now it's kind of bland.
It's too distracting. It's what's pulling me out of every episode.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel realistic enough. I mean, it's taking me out of the episode.
And I understand it doesn't need to be realism. It's an animated Rebels cartoon show.
I realize it's animation, but it just seems too. Like you said, almost kiddish, geometric and square, and it needs
just not
to
even
be
thought out.
Right, like there needs to be just a little more detail put in.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just a detail matter. So, all right. So that's what we thought of this episode of I almost said the Clone Wars. Isn't that awful? Of Star Wars Rebels. We'd love to hear what you have to say. So head on over to the GalaxyCast, and there's a area at the top where you can fill in your name and your email and let us know what you thought of that episode. And actually, next time I have some comments from Hondo Falco yet again that we can review that was put on our Facebook page. So if you haven't done that yet,
I gotta check that out.
So head on over to the GalaxyCast on Facebook. Just go into Facebook, search GalaxyCast, and you can find us there. And don't forget our blog, folks, GalaxyCast.wordpress.com. I know it hasn't been updated lately, but I'm working on it. I'm actually coming up with a new scheme to keep it going. So I'm redesigning the blog as we speak and redoing things there. And as always, we'd love for you to head over to the GalaxyCast website at galaxycast.com. And as we like to say here in the Star Production Studio,
may the Force be with those who listen.
Chewie wanted to be listened to.
That's awesome.
Okay, folks, so that's it for this episode. My doggy wants to be part
switch
of the
the camera so you can see.
Yeah, hang on. I'm going to show you my doggy. My dog's name actually is Chewie. This is my dog. Come on over here, Tree. Come here, bud.
Come on up. You were just up a second ago.
Come up here. He's like, no, I don't want to be on camera.
Literally, you won't
He's
do
over
it.
here behind me. He won't show himself.
You can see his head right there.
There he is. He's like in attention mode. Like, I wanted attention. So that's my doggy, Chewie. Yes, he's actually named after Chewbacca. My wife fought that, but we won. All right, so we hope to see you next time, folks, to review the next episode. Have a good one.
Bye.